Time to play the game. Time to play the game.
What's up, gentlemen? Small Jewish Gamer here, aka the 6th place manager, and we're here to do the Week 6 power rankings and video. And before I begin, I just want to say, we're early in the season. We got 18 playoff, 12-team league. None of that 7-man bullshit anymore. Anyone can make the playoffs. If you're in the cellar, don't give up hope. There's still a lot of time left to turn your team around. And also, before I get into the actual power rankings, I just want to quickly recap the trades and the Fab offers. Pretty slow week for Fab. The only contested one was the Motion Men picking up Rashad Bateman. Actually, he beat me. He bid 5. I bid 2. Jack gets his guy. I think that's value. I think, he could put up some points. And outside of that, Jack bid $10 against no one on Ray McLeod, but he had to get his guy. And Spish did the same with 11 on Kirk Cousins. Chasing points a little bit. He threw 500 yards last week. But, Spish gets Mahomes out of the lineup for once, because he's forced to, but it'll probably be for the best. And as for trades, 2 trades, both unsurprisingly involving the Mish, Jake. He had a lot of running backs, and now he has fewer running backs and more quality wide receivers. First, he moved David Montgomery and Tank Dell for Jaden Reed and Tyler Algier from Dean. I think this is a great move, honestly, for both teams. I think Jaden Reed's really good. I think could be a wide receiver 1, but DeMont is the most consistent dude in fantasy. He's going to put up 15 points a week, basically guaranteed. And Dean gets Tank Dell, who has some upside now that Nico Collins is on IR, and Jake gets Algier. His handcuff. Jake is a bit of a handcuff rat, taking other dudes' handcuffs, so at least he's doing the same to Bijan, his own guy. He might have even acquired the 1A in that backfield, so good move getting Algier. And the second move that he did was an Olave for J.K. Dobbins swap, this time with Steve. Steve got his guy. Steve loved J.K. Dobbins. And Jake gets another wide receiver. Chris Olave is reaching ran-through status in this league, being on his 3rd team in 6 weeks. But, his brother starting to tweet about his lack of targets. Maybe Spencer Rattler will turn things around. Steve basically turned Josh Jacobs into J.K. Dobbins, just with a Chris Olave stop in the middle. And so we'll see how this move plays out. J.K. Dobbins got hot and then it's been cold, and Chris Olave put up 2 points last week. If we start giving points for air yards, this could end up being really good for Jake, but, it remains to be seen. Now the moment we've all been waiting for, the power rankings. I used my own sense of judgment for this list, took some liberties, wanted to make it my own. But if you're not happy with where you're ranked this week, it's really easy. Make some trades, win some games, pick up some studs off waivers, and you're going to be higher in the power rankings next week for whoever does the video. We all control our own destiny. Except for maybe the dude who's 12th, Frank, 120-plus weekly to the dome. As the name says, Frank takes 120-plus weekly to the dome, except for last week where he took 118.95 to the dome. But, he's leading the league in points against with almost 600. He's the only team who's 1-4. He's looking up at everyone else in the standings. He's got a tough matchup this week against Boom, the 3rd-place team in the standings. And, that is more than enough to put him in 12. He's got to show something. He's got to get some wins because, you can't make the playoffs if you lose most of your games. And his lineup is being blessed by Derrick Henry's presence. Mint really gifted that on the silver platter to Frank. But outside of Derrick Henry, we're going to need some major contributions from Debo, from Terry, Tank and ETN. 2 Jags running backs in the flex is not typically a recipe for success. But, this squad has JT and Derrick Henry. And Debo is on the way. So don't give up hope, Frank, just because you're 12. And Frank has something to say about his own performance, which is, it's hard to win every week when it seems like the odds are always stacked up against me. Whether it be injuries, players getting their jobs taken by backups, or just getting 120-plus weekly to the dome. This video of me chasing after Mr. Spish encapsulates how hard my team has to work to at least be in contention for a win.
He was over it. He was over. Go, Eric, go, run!
Alas, my team has to take responsibilities for their poor performances up to this point. I can't just point the finger at others. This week against Boom could be the make or break week for this squad. I am not trying to eat 72 donuts in 24 hours. In 11th, we have a man that I've been waiting to talk about for some time, Kevin Spishiger, or Preying on My Downfall. And that name comes from me telling him that I was preying on his downfall in the DMs when I was crashing out over some trade talks that failed. So he did not provide a statement for me. He said I could come up with it. So this is my statement for Spish. Last year I drafted a God Squad. I didn't do that this year, but I haven't realized it yet. And I keep hoping that dudes are going to bless my roster the way that I've blessed other rosters in the past. But that's not going to happen, and I need to wake up and realize that my team isn't good enough as it is. And that's my statement for Spish. But he's in 11th because he's 2-3. He's got the least points for by a country mile. He's had the second easiest schedule, but he hasn't done really shit with it. I think most other people in this league would be 4-1 or 5-0 with that schedule. But he's 2-3, not scoring points. He's averaging like 85 a week. That's just not going to cut it. And at the end of the day, this team is too top heavy. He's got MHJ, Cook, and CD, who are basically trying to shoulder the load for this entire squad. But MHJ can drop under 5. James Cook is solid, but he had a bad week. His CD's been up and down. He might right the ship. But right now, if all these three dudes aren't hitting on a weekly basis, I don't know if the rest of the lineup can make up the difference. Mahomes has been dragging this team down. He's on bye this week, and Spish picked up Kirk, so that's actually probably the best thing that could have happened for him. But this team has not been very imposing. He plays me this week, so he's probably going to beat me because I've been yapping on this video for all to see. But, this is not a fearsome squad as it stands right now, and he's in 11th. In 10th, we have Steve, Moana's Mission, and his statement was clear, it was concise. Dobbins RB1 time. And I think that's what it's going to take for him to rise in the ranks here. I think this lineup has gotten worse as the season has gone on. You used to see Derrick Henry here. At least that was kind of a weekly RB1 who could just win you games. And he moved him for Mixon, who's hurt and hasn't played since he got him. Dalton Kincaid. He got Deontay, but that trained for the Panthers wide receiver 1. I don't know if that's worth giving up Derrick Henry. So this lineup, I think it lacks some star power. It's kind of a hospital. You got Cooper Kupp, Jonathan Brooks, Hawkinson, all hurt. Mixon questionable. He's been hurt, hasn't played in a few weeks. Braylon Allen's in the starting lineup. I don't think that's ideal. It's because he's got some buys, but this is not the first time we've seen Braylon in that starting lineup. So, Dobbins, Mixon, running backs, Deontay Johnson, Brian Thomas Jr., Galaxy Brain, wide receiver core, Jordan Love at the top. Mint knows how to get wins in this league, so I'm not going to discount him. This dude knows how to win games, but this is not the most imposing lineup that I feel like I'm looking at. And I think right now he's a little higher in the standings than this team would indicate. So I have him at 10. At 9, we have the third monkey, Naresh Kumanduri. This might be the highest this dude has been ranked in a power rankings in 2 years, but I guess I'll say he's earned it. He dropped 119 this week, which was his first time breaking 100, I think, this season. So, it had to happen eventually. This is a classic Coom squad that we were looking at. There's like 6 wide receivers that are basically exactly the same, or 5, just switching them in and out and, trying to pick the right one every week, which is typically not his strong suit. We got Drake London, JSN, Devonta, and Pickens, fighting with Bucky Irving for that last spot in the lineup. Bucky Irvin had one bad week, and I guess that's enough to get benched by Coom. But this squad, I think, has some untapped potential if Breece spazzes. If Coom sees some return on investment in Breece, which might be tough because he took him 101, then this team could actually make some noise. Stroud, good quarterback, hasn't been lighting it up the same way he did last year, but he's not losing you weeks. But this receiver core is going to need to figure it out all at the same time. I think Coom is going to need a lot to bench George Pickens, which I think is bothering some of the other players on this team. They're seeing him not match up the production, but still get a spot in the lineup every week. And these are culture things that matter to a fantasy team. And so that would be my biggest advice for third is, what you do matters, your choices matter, your players see that stuff. But he squeaked out a win with his 119-point performance. He's 2-3, faces Jake this week. That should be some good TV. And his statement is, brother, it's starting to rain. At 8, we have GOAT, Nils. And predictably, here's his statement. 94 Bulls, 2015 Golden State, 2021 to 2023 Nilly. You're welcome for the past 3 years. It must be nice to witness greatness. I don't know if I'd call it greatness or the luckiest run we've ever seen by a fantasy football manager, but Nils is the 3-time champ, 3-peat. Nothing we could say at this point. He's 2-3, he's in 9th in the standings right now. We've seen him win chips from that multiple times. This team has been underperforming, but he's had some injuries. I actually think this is a pretty solid team. He's got nasty wideouts, DK and AJ, Goff, Gibbs, Godwin. There's good players on this team. The bench is, Jordan Addison, Jalen Nailor, Sam Darnold. I don't know why there's 3 Vikings on this bench. But, five people on the bench, 3 of them are Vikings. Maybe get some depth, Nils, but, he's not really a manager to make that many moves during the season. And we know what he can do when he gets hot. So at 8 is Nils. At 7, I'm putting MG. He's 3-2. He's 4th in the standings, but I have him 7th in the power rankings because I think this lineup's very top heavy. It's literally just Lamar and Saquon right now with Pacheco hurt. And they're studs. They can score 70 in a week, but the rest of this is just stinky. Amari Cooper, Christian Kirk, Najee, Hunter Henry, QJ, Tyler Lockett. That's one of his guys. Pittman, got him from Coombe. Sole purpose was to beat Jake last week. Now he's hurt. Kelsey on bye. This team is just it's a really MG squad. He's got some good talent at the top. The flexes can get disgusting. We'll see if he can bolster this bottom half of the lineup as the season goes on. But right now I have him at 7. And his statement is, on Gladys, this year is my year. Team is performing largely as expected. Not sure what is harder, watching Najee rush 100 times for 2 yards or having to swat down bozo offers for Saquon. By my calculations, if King Jameis starts and Kelsey gets a haircut, my weekly PF should increase by 30 on average. But right now you're 7 in the power rank. At 6, we have Trust the Process, the big scam, Nate Psalm. His statement is, I'm coming fast and hard. Pause. He said it. This is a good core. I think anyone who knows ball knows that this is a good core. Amon-Ra, Neighbors, Garrett Wilson is probably the best receiver room of anyone in the league. Kenny Walker's a beast. Chase Brown's been coming for Zach Moss's job. Dontavian Wicks, obviously I think gave Scam 0, but that's one of his guys. He paid 30 to get him. And having your guys to balance out a real good core, that's how you do it in this game. Gino leading this team, I think, just emotion-wise, vibe-wise, that's the right guy for this squad. I think this is a really good team, honestly. I think Nate's got something cooking. He's in 7th right now, but in the standings, but I think we're going to see that go up. So at 6 in the power rankings, we got Trust the Process. At 5, we have the Mish, Jake. He's all in. Straight from him, we have he's all in, is determined to turn things around after a tough start. At 2 and 3, we're focused on winning 3 of our next 4 games and making a push towards the playoffs. Josh Allen acknowledges his inconsistency, but he wants to assure everyone that the concussion really helped clear his head. He's coming back sharper and more focused, ready to deliver big performances moving forward. It's time to play the game. So that's what we got as his statement. I have him as 5. He made some moves. Him and Nate, very close. They have kind of the same amount of points for in the year, both 2 and 3. But Jake made some moves, balanced out his team. So I think he's got a solid roster right now. Josh Allen can win you a week if he's playing well. Bijan, major disappointment so far. He's a galaxy brain kind of guy. Bijan, everyone loves him, but the points don't ever really match up with what everyone's expecting. Tony Pollard, and Kittle, it's a solid team, Mike Evans, Jaden Reed, Chris Olave, that's a better wide receiver room than he had coming into the week after the trades. Puka coming back eventually off IR. This team is definitely more balanced. It could definitely put up points on a weekly basis. But don't let him convince you that Njoku is worth anything. That's just my message to the league. So at 6, we have... at 5, we have Jake. At 4, we have me. I ranked myself for, this is where I think I belong, I got hoed last week. Fudge spazzed on me. Team dropped like 125, so I'm second in points for, but 2 and 3 in sixth. I like my squad. I like my core, Jet, Kyron, Diggs, Josh Jacobs, Dak, the Dak and Tolbert stack could be lethal going forward. I'm devastated this week with buys. I have like 5 dudes on buys, so I'm putting a scrappy squad together against Spish. Hoping for the best, hoping to beat that bum. But I like my squad going forward. I got a lot of guys. And my statement is, please trade with me. If you don't like my offer, counter my offer. I'm trying out here. I'm trying to find offers that dudes like. So please trade with me. Thank you very much. At 3, we have boom. Dean, his statement is, I'm just here so I don't get fined. He's in third place. He's third in points for. He's third in the power rankings. I mean, sometimes it's just easy for you. He's got a good team. Kamara's been a beast. He just traded for Demont, turning Jaden Reed. He had a kind of surplus of wide receivers, as he's been known to do. So now he's got 2 good running backs. He's got Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill not playing this week as a bye and injury. But I think Ross, long term, if these dudes are back in the lineup, Tua is healthy. This is a really balanced squad. It's a good team. Chubb on that roster is a little bit of a stash. Who knows what he's going to get out of that? But all in all, this is a solid team. He's been doing well so far. He brings the boom, and that's enough for the number 3 slot in the power rank. At number 2, we have the motion men. We have Jack. His statement is, I'm 4-1 and in second. And he is 4-1 and he's in second. He's 4th in points for. He's at a baby-ass schedule. Dudes average 85 points against him. So anyone would be in second with that fucking schedule, but Jack is the dude with his own schedule, and he's the one benefiting off of it. He's got a real Coom team, but with his own flair added on top of it. He's got DJ Moore, Brandon Ayuk, T. Higgins, kind of all the same dude right now. But they've just started putting up some points, and if they keep putting up points, this is going to be a good team. Especially with C-Mac, coming back week 10. He'll probably be out again for the rest of the year by week 11, but, that dude's on his bench. Nico Collins just got hurt, which is tough for Jack. Dude's going out of the IR. It'll benefit Stephon Diggs. It'll benefit Tank Dell probably. Had to sneak that in there. But yeah, the Motion Man's got a solid team. He's in second place. I have him second in the power rankings. And in first, unsurprisingly, obviously, it's the Big Fudge. I think we all should have known that this was going to happen when we were goofing his draft. He ripped the bong and was vibe drafting while the rest of us were cooking whatever we were cooking. And, through 5 weeks, he's got the best record and the most points. And he just dropped like 150 on me. So I know firsthand that this dude has got a squad. Burrow and Chase is a stack to end all stacks. And that could carry him, honestly. Those 2 guys, if they're going to connect, he's going to be fine. He lost Rashee Rice, which is a big blow. And he's hoping that Pitts and James Conner, Ramondre, Sutton, a lot of these are Fudge guys. And Fudge is breeding his own guys. He's getting guys to buy in. And that's going to carry a team far. Jaden Daniels on the bench also is ridiculous. You should do something with that. Achane could really come back if Tua is healthy again. Same with Tyreek. And then this Fudge team would be even more overpowered than it already is. And I think we'll end it with the statement from the number 1 team in the power rankings this week, the number 1 team in the standings this week. Big Fudge. It's Fudge time. The Fudge vision is always in effect. Rip to Rashee was such a good pick. Big Fudge out. Stay salty.